Okay, I am changing an oil pan in a 2008 MaxxForce engine. Problem we're having is it's rusted out here, and it's actually weeping through. So once it starts doing that, it's really kind of the end of it for the pan. I mean, once it heats up and you're running it, it gets thinner and it'll just start running out a lot more. International recommends that you change the oil pan bolts when you change the oil pan. Usually the only difference is that it has thread lock on the new bolts. I got new bolts this time because while I can get these back in, I'm gonna almost guarantee that I will not get them back out because they're getting pretty rusted, and I already have to kind of beat on a socket to get it on there, and I'm pretty sure if I put them back in, they're just gonna round over and strip when I try to take them out, so I am gonna change them this time. There is 7 bolts on each side, and 2 in the front and 2 in the rear. And then there's some bracing. There's a small piece in the front, small piece in the rear, and then along the sides. It's one of the rare ones. The front's got the same thing. This is a 3/8 socket. It's working on some of them, but I had to kind of bang on a 9mm to get it to grip because that 3/8 one was stripping them. I did loosen them all up because it took a while, and I figured you didn't want to watch all that, so I went ahead and loosened them all, and well, took a lot of them out too. so you are aware, this oil pan gasket is basically a dealer only part. I got the oil pan from Fleet Pride, and I tried both of the gaskets that they had, and neither one of them was for this engine. It was for the generation before this, and then the one before that. So if you need one for the MaxxForce, I think it's 06 to, I don't know, 11 or 14, then you're not going to get the gasket from Fleet Pride. So let's keep in mind, you're going to want to drain the oil first. That's a strong magnet. Alright, so this is what the inside of the engine looks like, from underneath anyway. So all these cap bolts, see all the lines on them, they're all torque to yield bolts. That's why they got that quarter turn sign on them. And here's the oil pickup tube, your screen on there, dipstick. That's how it sticks in. And basically that's what you got. 6 cylinders. You see a piston up in there, huh? So let's see. There's your piston. Way up in there, connecting rods that go up. What else can you see? Is your cam way up there. Well, you can see one of the cam lobes. Other than that, that's, I mean, they're all pretty much the same. I did take the oil filter out so I could get the pan out a little easier. And then I got an oil cooler there. Starter. Hoses. Oh. That's what it looks like under here. So I got the gasket and the bolts coming tomorrow morning. So I get it back together tomorrow. And yeah, I'll show you how I put it back together. I mean, it's basically the reverse of this. I believe the bolt torques are 15 foot-pounds. I'll have to look. I think they're around there. Alright, so I got my gasket today. It's kind of like a plastic with a rubber impregnation or something into it. so I had to get that from the dealership. It's got a little locating pin. I believe that goes forward on the passenger side. Here's a part number for the gasket. And here's the part number for the oil pan. The oil pan is from Fleet Pride. The gasket is from International. Here's a pack of bolts. Comes with 18 bolts. They're not torque to yield or anything, but they do come with some Loctite on it. You could just put Loctite on the bolts again. The problem I had was that the bolts are turning into just round studs, and I might be able to get them back in, but I definitely won't be able to get them back out next time. So I opted to change them this time. The bolt head is 10 millimeter on the new bolts, which it was not 10 millimeter on the bolts that I took out, so we had already been losing a lot of the mass. I think I was getting a 9 on there, but a 10 millimeter wasn't taking them out. Alright, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to scrape the rust and the dirt off of the bottom of the block where the oil pan gasket sits. Usually get like rust comes in from the side right up to where the gasket sits, so if you don't scrape it off, then you run the risk of getting stuff up under there. Alright, so I cleaned up all the bottom of the block where the gasket's going to seat. I used some brake clean, wiped it all down, cleaned it all up. So we're going to stick the oil pan back up in there. Yeah. I'll tell you what, there's one thing that I cannot stand about a freaking creeper, and that is the fact that whenever you push on anything, you just roll away. Can't stand that. It makes it so hard to do anything when you're just rolling across the freaking floor. You have to get these little brackets up there. Alright, so you're gonna put all your bolts in this brace and then bolt them all back up. I'll come back when I got all the bolts in. Alright, so I got all the screws in. There are 7 on this side. Yep, 7 on this side. 7 over here on this side. We've got 2 on the back, and then you have 2 on the front that are the same way. I believe the torque on these bolts is 13 to 15 foot-pounds. I have to torque them tomorrow because I don't have a torque wrench here with me today, so I'll have to bring one in tomorrow. And then I'd have to obviously tie this bundle of hydraulic hoses and cables back up and put the oil filter back on and fill it up with oil, and away you go. So that's how you put your oil filter in, or not your oil filter, but that's how you put your oil pan in on a, geez, I like this, I think it's a 2006 to a 2011 oil pan. It might even be beyond that. I don't know exactly. No, that's what I think the range was for this oil pan. So, I mean, obviously, if you have any questions, you can call your dealer because they're the ones you're probably going to be getting most of the parts from anyway. All right, hope this helps somebody.